What is up, guys? It's KidSubs from Coasterland, and today I'm going to dig into a coaster that is well loved at Kings Island, and that is, of course, Adventure Express, an Arrow mine train that is one of the best family thrill coasters at Kings Island. A little bit of background before we dive in. Adventure Express opened in 1991, making it a relatively new Arrow mine train. The ride stands 63 feet tall and reaches speeds of 35 miles per hour as it traverses its 2,963 feet of track. This makes it a reasonably fast mine train, by the way. While the ride is a bit of a meme, due to its second lift hill being, followed by a brake run, which is kind of it is a great Arrow mine train, and that second lift has solid theming, which, in my opinion, makes up for it a bit. The first visit to Kings Island I didn't get to ride it due to an unfortunate reason, as we'll call it, so I waited a year to get my chance to ride this solid Arrow. The first thing you notice when approaching this attraction is the true wilderness feel you get from the line. You can tell the terrain and scenery is in full use on this ride before even riding it. The park has also done an amazing job maintaining this ride as it runs reasonably smooth for an early 90s Arrow coaster. So let's dive into the ride itself. Adventure Express starts right out of the gate, using the terrain to gain speed as it traverses a long pre-lift section. This somewhat careening feel is one of the favorite parts of the ride for me. Even if it's an actually tame ride experience in that area, it just doesn't feel tame at all. I just find it really fun. As the ride climbs the lift, you can also see a lot of trees, which I think is nice. And that gives the coaster a wilderness vibe, which also is really cool. So all this little first section is really cool, with all the scenery and also the somewhat careening feeling, even though you're not going that fast. As the ride climbs the lift, obviously you can see the trees, as I said, but also it's a very slow lift hill. So that's definitely something to note. It definitely gives you that ability to see those trees, see the scenery. In a more panoramic area, you can look around, unless you have camera glasses on your head, which hopefully the next time I'm there I do, and all that. So again, I mentioned the trees again because they are a huge part of the ride scenery. Also, I wanted to note before going further that the two tunnels on the pre-lift section are nice and an entertaining touch, that I thoroughly enjoyed. But now for the ride after the lift. Forgive the footage not being lined up if it's not, which it won't be, because I'm literally recording this audio over a couple repeated pieces of copyright-free footage, reading off a script because I want you guys to think that I actually try to do these videos, because I really do. But anyways, back to the review. So after cresting the lift hill, you go into the typical Arrow pre-drop that you can find on most mine trains by the company. This allows you to pick up some speed as well, so it definitely is a good supporting aspect of the ride. After this, the ride banks to the left and enters a large sweeping downward helix that I find quite fun. The fun part of this helix is it also serves as the first drop, and solid speed is gained, solid enough to give a nice little throw to it as well. Next, the ride goes through a pretty violent left turn for a family coaster. It takes this turn at full speed and it offers a moment of decent force. I find this to be a great element on the ride, and it really adds to the out-of-control minecar feeling that Adventure Express and most Arrow mine trains attempt to excel at, but Adventure Express really does excel at it. After this, the ride goes through a partial helix to the right, followed by a complete helix to the left that offers themed archways. The end of this helix is marked by entering a themed tunnel. This part of the ride is my second favorite part, as the ride maintains a solid intensity and speed throughout this entire section. And quite honestly, the theming does not hurt, since Cedar Fair does not have to, have as much theming in their parks, and they don't have to do the theming here, so it doesn't hurt to have it for sure, and I think it's a really important aspect of this ride. So, it's also good that this old Arrow has kept its theming nearly identical from the Paramount era, because that era, I said error, oops, my bad, that era is, long gone, unfortunately, because I believe it had its pros and cons. The theming was one of the pros. Overall, this section is close to perfect for a mine train element, but the next part is even better. Next up is a drop in the little tunnel, not a big one, but a fun one, followed by, in my opinion, insane turn and a less insane but solid left-hand turn. This is yet again a great element and my favorite part of the ride. Maybe it's the tunnel, or maybe I'm just crazy, but I love that one moment more than others. After this, the ride goes through a left-hand turn into the brakes before the second and final lift. This lift hill is by far the best themed part of the ride, which in my opinion makes up for the fact that the lift just takes you into the final brakes, rather than into more of the ride. So there you have it, the breakdown of my experience, but let's take a look at my overall thoughts. Well, first let's take a look at my personal grading scale that I just created starting for this video and many more coming towards it, or coming after it, excuse me. So, 1 to 10 out of 100 is absolutely abysmal. Complete trash, never gonna ride it again. Technically, the subcategories, which we will discuss in a bit, you can get a 0, I'm just letting you know. 11 to 30 is bad, 31 to 50 is mediocre, 51 to 70 is solid, 71 to 80 is good, 81 to 90 is great, 91 to 95 is elite, and 96 to 100 is absolutely, positively legendary. So based on this scale, I take 5 subcategories that are out of 20 to come up with a composite score. They are intensity, length, aesthetics, how good for its model, and overall experience. Based on this, I came up with a 7 out of 20 for intensity, due to the ride being a family thrill ride with lower intensity except for a few awesome moments which give it a boost. For me, intensity is not always just forces or stats, but rather the overall feeling the ride gives in my stomach and my head. For example, a terrifying haunted house could have an intensity even higher than this. For length, I give this ride 17 out of 20. For its long primed ride time, an overall long ride that adds to the experience. For aesthetics, this ride gets 13 out of 20 for the theming and overall general fitting scenery the ride has. As for how good this ride is for its model, it gets a 18 out of 20 for being in the top 5 of the Arrow Mine Trains in my opinion, and also one of the best themed of its kind as well. As for my overall experience, I give it an 18 out of 20. I absolutely love this ride. I rewrote it and plan on doing so again and again in my next visits and future visits to Kings Island. So let's look at the overall score to see which category this ride falls into. At a score of 73, I consider this ride good but not quite in the great category. Keep in mind, this ride remains a family coaster, so this score is close to the top end of family rides for me, which is saying a lot because family rides, I've ridden so many really solid or even great family coasters, though maybe not in the great category, but you get my point for family rides, and to say that this is near the top is pretty good and pretty impressive. So, that's going to do it for this review. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, click that like button down below and comment below as well. Want to see more scripted videos? Let me know. If you'd rather my stumbling around on my words, let me know that too, although I doubt I'll go back to that because this is so much easier and it will get better in quality as time goes on. Also, want to see more overall? Then just go ahead and subscribe for more awesome videos here at Coasterland. No harm in doing so. And until next time, peace guys.